Peace, peace, peace. This is Anpu with another video of Question Everything. Alright, so this is going to be just random questions, just random. I'm just going to go random with different questions to question the consciousness, to question the unseen and the unheard, question the mystery system. I played hooky today from work and I'm, just bored, and I was just like, I haven't been on here in a while. So I was like, let me drop some knowledge a little bit. I know I usually do videos on astral traveling and stuff like that. I've just been very busy, been working like a horse, keeping the body moving, keeping this machine running, right? I spoke about biological machines, which what these physical bodies are. It's like if you let a car just sit in the driveway for a very long time, the car eventually is not going to run as the same as if it was to run all the time. That's why I always say, like, you got to keep these machines moving, and it's like once you retire, that's when you start, getting the illnesses. That's when your body starts breaking down, because I explained this in past videos that these bodies were basically created to work. They were basically machines, like work like machines, and we are not these machines. We are energy beings. We are part of the sun. We are the sun, pretty much. And I mean, it's real deep to understand. We just occupying these machines to have this experience, what we call life. But it's like I said, it's a lot of mysteries in the system because it's a program. So it's a lot of mysteries in the system that you have to unlock. It's like a game. You plugged up to the matrix and now you are part of the game. So it's not about if you win or lose the game. It's what did you get out of the experience? And that's going to take you to a higher level. Like I said, I know I usually do astral traveling videos. I did have a astral travel experience last month. It was March 29th, 2019. But it was very small. It was a really short experience, so I didn't really want to, jot it down. But I did get something out of the experience. So that night, I had the random, Kundalini energy waking up, the vibration. And I remember trying to separate, and it was like, but it was hard for me at that point. I couldn't really separate at that point, so I kind of like relaxed and just let the vibration continue. And then I was able to separate, and of course I started flying. And I happened to look up into the stars, and it was many stars, but the one that stood out the most was the Orion's belt, right? The Orion's belt. So the Orion's belt, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I've always said that whenever I try to have these experiences, I want to try to step out of the realm of Earth into other planets or other stars and other galaxies. But I was never able to have that type of experience. Because all my astral traveling experience, on some levels, feel like, I'm on Earth, like the fourth dimension, like everything looks the same. So it's like in this day and time. I mean, I did have astral travel experiences where I felt like I traveled back in time, or like a very heavenly place, but not sure if these, higher levels of this heavenly place that I've been to before, which I call the fifth dimension, is that another planet or is that another galaxy? Like, what does that mean? Like, that's why I always try to question things. And this is why I make these videos called Question Everything. It's just to question the deep things in life. Talk about things that people don't normally talk about, because everybody's pretty much on the same level. There's very few that are chosen to step outside the box and think beyond the beyond. But anyway, so I looked at the stars in Orion, and I tried to fly up. So I'm flying up because I'm like, I want to go to Orion's belt. I want to go to that star constellation. And if those don't know the, like, the metaphysics and the teachings of the, Orion's belt, it has a deep meaning to that constellation. The ancient Egyptians, that's the belt of Osiris, right? When you go into the ancient Kemetic teachings or the ancient Egyptian, belief systems. Um, you know, when you're looking into the Bible, they speak about the three kings. The three kings symbolized the three stars that are in the sky, the Orion's belt. You know, um, even when you look it up in the Bible and they speak of heaven, because the Bible was written in Greek before it was written in English. You know what I'm saying? So it's Oranos, Orion, and that's the Orion's belt when they speak of heaven. And that's what I say when I go into these fourth dimensions. It's like, the fifth dimensions. It's like heaven. It's like the place. Is just can't really explain it. It's so beautiful. The experience was so beautiful and strong and positive and full of love. You just can't explain it. So that to me would be Oranos, Orion, heaven, fifth dimension, all the same in one. So within this experience, I try to fly up to Orion. And I kept trying, kept going up, and it felt like I was going nowhere. And just like I could just see the stars, but I don't feel like I'm getting there closer. And within this astral traveling experiences, I did read up upon, people teleporting to places. I don't think I'm that strong in that area. I did go through doors and windows and then just in a blink of an eye be in a total different place. That to me would be like teleportation. That's why I said pay attention to your dreams. They always, it's always a great experience, and that's your proof right there that you astral travel yourself. When you start paying attention to your dreams and you see how much you travel when you rest your head, you realize, like, man, I was doing this, I was over here, I met this person. It's just so much. This is the hidden knowledge that we really don't, pay too much attention to. So with this an experience, as I was trying to fly up to Orion, I felt like I wasn't going nowhere. I went back to my body. And that was, like I said, it was a very short experience. But it was what it is. I always try out something new, right? And that's how conscious I am when I'm in these realms. It's like, okay, of course I like to fly all the time. I never get tired of that. And I'm pretty good at it now. It's like I'm like really good at flying now. It's like the more I keep having these experiences, just the more better I'm going to get to tapping into my abilities. And you should do the same. And there are people out there that are watching this video. They know what I'm talking about because they probably on the same level as me, or probably even further much of it. All right. And also within that experience, I went back to sleep and I had a dream. Then I ended up having a dream with this client that I used to work with, and that client had a service dog. And and within the dream, at this point I wasn't conscious. So within the dream, I was following this lady because she looked very suspicious. And I don't know, I kept following her, and I felt like she was up to no good, and I was trying to make sure she wasn't going to do anything crazy. And I think within the dream, I saw like a gun in her purse, right? So I'm following this woman, and then within the dream, the service dog, he was in a dream, and he kept jumping on me. And I know the dog named Shadow. His name is Shadow, right? Beautiful dog, very smart. He's a golden doodle, very intelligent. I swear that dog is like a human being. It has the consciousness, and like I said, biological entities, man. That energy, is in the canine. But it's in people that own dogs, you will feel that. You be like, man, my dog is like a person. And it's like it's energy going into different vehicles that have a different experience, right? So now you gotta think about it like, damn, if I could come back to be an animal, what kind of animal I would be? And this is when you tap into, um, your spirit animal. And my spirit animal was always the canine, the dog. This is why I am Anpu the Great. But anyway, so within that experience, in that dream, I saw a shadow. And then the next day, I was leaving my first job on the way to the second job. And of course, I see the dog shadow. And, stopped, hopped out, you know, to see him. He was so happy to see me. He went crazy because I haven't seen him in a long time. Because the client that I worked at, that I used to work with, I don't work with him no more. I have a new client now. And like I said, I work with special needs students. And and this is just like it's not shocking to me no more to have dreams, see it before it happened, and then it actually plays out, because it's happened so many times to me, and it just doesn't it doesn't shock me anymore. And like deja vu's and those type of feelings. I'm at this level that I know I'm on a higher conscious level or ascension than others. With the lower level people, they'll you have this conversation with them, they'll just think you're crazy. So yeah, so just pay attention to that. And I've been through a lot lately. I have been on here for a while, but of course I've been studying. I also been studying a lot on Qigong. I'm still doing my working out routines and trying to stay fit and healthy, trying to keep this vehicle in shape so I could use it to my best abilities. But I've been into Qigong, in Queens. I lived in an area in Queens. There was a lot of Asians, and Qigong is just dealing with energy, right? If we are energy beings, then we have energy all around us, and we could use this energy that's in the ethers to allow, to better us, and to, for many ways, right? So in Qigong, they do, and you go into like Tai Chi. So the like Chinese people in other Asian countries, and they do Tai Chi. So it's a very slow movement, and you getting in tune with yourself. You are becoming, the spirit is becoming one with the machine, with this physical body, right? And this machine is basically part of Earth. So when you get in your spirit in tune with your body, you're actually getting in tune with also the planet. And this is why there's certain positions that you will position yourself in the movements, and it's good to do it barefooted, like in the grass, when you're actually connected to planet Earth. And you gain so much energy, because it's like energy, like I said, like a battery charging up. The more you stay charged up, the more conscious you can become, the more healthier you'll be. And this is why a lot of cancers is created, because their batteries is low. Their energy ain't high. So the body gets acidic, and then it just starts to destruct, to kill off, to just go back to Earth where it belongs, to ashes and dust to dust, and to form another body for another host to take it. So I've been into Tai Chi, because it's all energy, Chi. The Indians, they call it prana. So in Qigong is like a lot of it's dealing with a lot of martial arts, and a lot of martial arts. When you study martial arts on a deep level, it's also tapping into the spirituality, and certain movements you can do. There's so many techniques you could do to help health problems. Eye exercises, breathing exercises, all this stuff is connected. So this is what I've been really studying deep on. Studying real deep on. And also I've been studying on Orgone, crystal pyramids. And is if you want to look into the subject, just look up Oregon crystal pyramids. It was a guy, I forgot the guy's name, but he had many inventions. He was what pretty much what he did was tap into knowledge that has been practiced thousands of years ago, since ancient Kemetic, ancient Egypt times, when you're dealing with crystals and pyramids and the energy, harnessing energy. And he had other inventions too, that he was able to manipulate the weather. All right, and it's a whole article about this guy, and basically the government found out about it. I think he was from Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Um, he also the government had found word about it, because it was a town. I forgot what state it was in. No, it was in America. That it was a drought. There was a very drought. So he had his machine that he hooked up, and he was using the science of Orgone energy, and he was able to make it rain pretty much. Government found out about it. They ended up prosecuting him, sending him to jail. For what reason, I don't know. If the man had a great invention, and they took all his studies and all his stuff that he was working on and all his records, and pretty much they tried to destroy some of it, but some of it got out, because now people are still using this Orgone energy methods to this day. So basically, he ended up dying. Not surprised. I think he died in prison. It's crazy. So look up Orgone energy as well. That's what I've been studying in Qigong and just energy, because that's what we are. We are energy beings. And the Orgone pyramids, I had bought some. They really, I like crystals. Shout out to, my homegirl, Hathor. Like I said, she was the one that put me on to crystals. And and then I started to study it more, and realizing how the energy it has and how it could benefit you in this experience. But so I got this Orgone pyramids. They're really fancy, really nice. It's really pretty cool. So this right here is the rose quartz. So basically, with the Orgone pyramids, you have like different type of organic material in a pyramid form. You have crystals, you have metals, copper, all types of minerals that Mother Earth created, right? I got 3. It's pretty cool, right? So, and these things have energy, because it is part of the great Mother Earth. And, when you look into the science on how it's created, through the gases and pressure and heat, and the different formations that it takes, the different structures, the beautiful structures, when you go into like those crystal caves, or even like the beautiful colors, because when you're dealing with certain elements and certain pressures and heat, it gives off a certain color. And that's when we go into the color spectrum, light energy. This all ties into energy, and this is why I always keep preaching. It always ties into energy. So that's the Orgone pyramid crystals. Go get your own. All right. So what else we want to talk about? We're gonna keep it rolling on energy. All right. So of course, like I did a video about that biological entity, the biological machine, which is your physical body, and like I said, I work with special needs children, right? So me, being into the metaphysics and always questioning things, I question life and my experience and what I see, and try to observe everything to its highest level. And so, the children I work with, they have different disabilities. Some very severe, some very mild. I work with autistic kids, kids with cerebral palsy, blind, deaf. Some kids are just there like just a vegetable. I mean, it's being in this field changed my life. And I like to, you know, I rather do this type of work than work for a company and feel like a machine. Like working with children with disability, it just gives me, more appreciation of what I do to support my family. I'm getting paid to take care of children and to educate them to my best ability to, to provide independence, to show them self-independence. So, with my work, it's not an easy job. It's very difficult. You have to have extreme passion for it. And I've been teaching kids with disability for many years, almost over 15 years. Over 15 years. So this is what I know. I don't know how I got into this field. Well, I mean, I know how, but when I was in high school, I always wanted to be an electrician. I always wanted to, deal with energy, right? Electrical energy. But, I went to a vocational school, so it was pretty cool. But I didn't have the love for it. Once I got into it, I saw a couple of people get shocked. I was like, okay, this is not for me. But then in my last year in high school, I started to tutor. I was a tutor. I was a tutor in the after-school program, and the person that ran the program was a principal, and that's how I got into the school system. And when I first started doing it, I mean, maybe rewind back. When I first started working with children, is when I first got my working papers, and I was working at PAL, right? After it's a summer program, for children. And of course, I'm an artist, so me and my brother, we worked in the art department. So that was like my first taste of working with children. I think I was like, you get your working papers at 14, something like, I don't remember. 14, yeah, I think I was 14 years old. I was 14 years old when I first started working with children, and fell in love with it. And I guess because when I was a child, I went through a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. So when I see children, I want them to have a different experience in life than I did, and I think that's what the same thing that Michael Jackson was about. His childhood was so bad that, that's why he did so much for children. But this whole thing with him molesting kids, I don't know. I don't want to even touch that subject. But on that sense, I understand, his message, because I went through that. I went through a very rough time as a kid. So when I see children, I like to see them happy, because I didn't have that as a child. I mean, I had happy moments. I'm not going to say, my life was just totally terrible, but I did go through some rough times, and I did, experience, things that a child shouldn't have to experience. So, on that note, working with kids, it's a beautiful thing. They still have that magical imagination that we tend to lose. So working with special needs, it's a very difficult field to work in. I mean, I worked in a high school in New York, and at least every year, at least 2 kids in our school would die. And that was very hard to get used to. You see these children every day, and they have a disability. You build a relationship with them, and then the next day they deceased, and it could play, a major part on your conscious, your psyche. One of my coworkers, she was very connected with this one little girl, sweet little girl. Oh my God, she was the sweetest little girl, so smart, and she had like a sassy attitude too. She was such a great being, and she had a very severe disability, and she had a one-to-one, like someone that was always with her, my good friend, my coworker. And one day, she came to work, and they pulled her in the office and said, "Hey, she went to sleep and didn't wake up." And I remember her literally crying in the hallway, like on her knees in the school. And it was like I felt her pain. I mean, I was hurt too. Everybody was hurt, but she was like her mother in school, And that's the thing about being in the educational field, is like you're responsible for someone else's child. So you are like their mother or their father or a big sister or a big brother, you know. But it's a very difficult, you know, field to be in. And we don't make a lot of money. That's the thing too, which has to change, because we are dealing with human beings. We're taking care of people. We're taking care of spirits, energy, right? But I always think, and I always said in my last video about the biological machines, that I truly believe that the beings that inhabit these type of bodies are higher conscious beings. They look for that challenge. They want that challenge to be, or take it to the next level, right? Because if you look at it on the deep end, we chose these bodies, we chose these lives that we're living to have this experience, right? So it's very deep. It's very deep, and just in that sense, it's like that's how I start looking at, when I start studying energy and what we really are. This is the questions I be having. So, and also I look on the flip side and be like, what if, because energy is energy, masculine, feminine, positive energy, negative energy, right? So you have within, when dealing with children with disability, I question if there's a negative energy within this, within that physical deformed body, because I've dealt with many kids with disability that were highly aggressive, highly aggressive. I mean, I got the scars to prove them, scratches. Uh, I mean, it's part of the job. It's really part of the job. But like I said, it's not for everybody. So when I'm thinking about energy, it's like, man, this child or this man is really, acting like if he has a demon in him, like a negative energy in him. And it's not funny, but that's how I look at it. I'm like, wow, and I'm questioning it. If we were just energy and we using these physical bodies to have this experience, then what type of energy is that? What kind of energy is this? On that level. And when you really study, there's a book out that I forgot the name of the book. A coworker of mine had put me onto it, and the book was about demonic energies and the link between disabilities, right? And that's why I say, when you look closely to disabilities and how they act, you will actually, look at it from different, like, wow, this kid or this man is looking real demonic right now. Like, what the hell? So that's what I was always thinking. And then when you think about the minds of certain individuals that take on negative acts, like the newest thing on the social media is the situation with Nipsey Hussle. I'm a big fan of Nipsey Hussle. He's a nice rapper. I was one to always say, like, yo, this dude from West Coast, he's nice, and I followed him from the beginning. And to hear his story, how his story ended, due to a person with jealousy, just want to just kill. Like, I just can't fathom that you so jealous, that energy, that's dealing with energy, the jealous energy. You so jealous that you need to take someone's life and to ruin yours. Like, something within that consciousness, with that psyche, we have to question, what type of entity is this? Or even when you're looking at, mass shootings. I mean, you really look into statistics and the studies of mass shootings. I mean, like I said, I'm not racist and nothing, but to keep it real, from my observation, it's always Caucasian boys, young boys with guns. And that's just the facts, that's just the facts. So it's like, what's energy that is hosting these bodies that make them want to do these type of things. And it's a scary time now to like send your kid to school. Like it's a different era, because when I was going to school, you know, it was, yeah, they were shooting. It's like my high school I went to, they had metal detectors. You know what I'm saying? I went to Thomas Edison High School, so they had metal detectors. So, but it was different, because if someone got shot or shot at, it was a person that had beef with one person, and they were out to shoot that person that they had a problem with. Because it was my school I went to, it was a lot of gangs and all that. So that's how it was in New York. And that's how it is, you know, in other states and cities too. But now you have these situations that these kids come to school just to kill, and not just to kill anybody, like, and then kill themselves at that point. So it's just like, what type of energy is hosting that body? So, you know, when we start looking into demonic energies and what the history is speaking about it within religion's text or ancient texts, right? Because at the end of the day, you're dealing with energies, positives, negatives, right? The duality of things. So, and when you look at, you know, the different energies, the hate, the greed, the lust, the jealousy, you know, I had to tell a coworker, I said, that's why I'm not religious, because in the Bible, they said that, you know, God said he's a jealous God. And I see what happened to Nipsey Hussle. That was actions due to jealousy. So I'm like, this is why I can't mess with that. I can't mess with that type of belief system, because that's what all it is. It's all belief systems. And like I said before, there are truth in the book. So what happens, I have the book right here. King James Version. Still study it, because there's still information that you can learn from it, you know. And when you look at the different energies, like of hate, the hate energy, who created hate and separation? God in the Bible created hate, you know what I'm saying, within the book of Genesis, the first beginning. Like, I'm gonna put empathy between your seed and Eve's seed. I'm gonna put hate. So God was the one that created it, you know. I didn't say it, I didn't even write it. Oh yeah, we gonna learn today. We're gonna learn today. So in the Bible, in Genesis, in verse 15, it says, "And I will put empathy between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed." So basically, you know, the creator within this belief system was the one that created hate, separation. And when you really look deep into it, like I said, there's some type of truth, right? We're gonna take a little turn. This is classes in session. We're gonna take a little turn and go somewhere else with it. But we still dealing with energy at the end of the day. You know, it spoke about the serpent, right? And that's something that the pastors, you know, the preachers, they don't really want to touch that, because they're gonna have to go in depth when you're dealing with the actual serpent type of being, right? So when you're looking up the word serpent, it means sea monster, dragon, or aquatic, you know, animal, pretty much, right? So this is who Eve was speaking to, was a serpent. So when you really read Genesis, it takes you in the beginning, you know, it shows you that this was a watery planet before the God got here, right? Because, you know, in Genesis it says he walked, you know, I'm gonna start preaching. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void. You know what I'm saying? And darkness was upon the face of the deep. When they saying deep, it means water, the deep ocean, right? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So there was water already here before God even started creating. So someone or something was watching God do all this, right? Because that was the first verse. I mean, first chapter 1, verse 1. So then when you go start going down the chapters, the verses, that's when you see God starts creating. But there were beings already here, is what I'm getting while reading this story. There were beings already here. And then you dealing with serpent. So who's speaking to Eve? A serpent type of being. An energy being that took a host of a reptile vehicle. Pretty much. Right? Because when you go down, like in verse 20, and God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly and moving the creatures that have life, and a fowl that may fly above the earth and the open faculty of the heavens." So basically, he's saying that I'm creating waters, but in the beginning there was already water there. So that means there was something in the water watching all this take place. So, we got to go into like this serpent. What is this reptile type of being, right? What type of being is that? So, even when you go to Psalms, what is it? Psalm 74. Psalm 74, verse 14. Thou brakest the head of Leviathan in the pieces and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. Leviathan. And Leviathan is going back to this reptilian type of being, right? Let me see, there's another one. Give me a second. We're going to walk this through. There you go. In the book of Job, chapter 41, verse 1. Cast thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down. So basically, what that sounds like, trying to fish out a reptilian type of being, right? So, yeah, it gets deep, but it always deals with energy. And that's another subject I've been touching on, studying on, is the origin of these physical bodies, like the first humanoid type of beings. And a lot of agents and scientists even claim that they can see within our biological chemistry that at one point in time our skin was green, right? Due to certain depletion of chemicals within our body starts to rust. This is like when you talk about the original being on this planet, when the first African, pretty much, the first African, this is why they're so dark brown. That's when you see things rust, they rusted brown, right? So, it's proven that, we had green skin. And when your skin is dry, you get scaly and ashy. And you look at your hands, you look like scales. When you really look at it especially in a melanated descent, someone that's really dark. When you look at a really old person, it look like scales. As you get older, you start to go back to your original form. And when you was an infant, you had webbed feet and webbed hands and had gills and breathed underwater. So to me, this information is not so far-fetched because it all makes sense. So we dealing with different type of, beings, to energy beings. So yeah, it's crazy. So I know I've been going a little random all over the place, but this is just one of those segments that just got to question a lot of things. And I like to just try to put everything in one video. A lot of information. If you stuck around to the end of this video, I hope you learned something, and don't believe me, just look up the energy and the topics that I talked about. Look it up. It was pretty deep information. So yeah, So until we meet again, I'm gonna say peace and hotep. And it's been fun chatting with y'all. It's been a minute. I feel like I had to let that out because I'm a natural teacher. Anpu the great. Hotep. One.